We're back once again, and got a little bit of an astronomical event tonight. Looks like a lot of places probably will have clear skies, and we've got a little bit of moisture here in this part of Texas. Gulf moisture sneaking northward, and I'm going to cover that in just a little bit. But let's cover this event here. This is the occultation of Aldebaran. Lost my graphic here. Bring that back up. There we go. For most places, what's going to happen is the star Aldebaran is going to disappear behind the moon and reappear later on, about an hour and a half later at most places. Some places will be grazed. You'll see the star graze along the limb of the moon, and depending on where you are exactly, you'll see a little bit of winking of the star as it disappears behind mountains. And one thing that's interesting is thanks to math, they've got that plotted down to the block level, such as Los Angeles here, where you can see the best winking, I guess, whatever you would call that, behind all the different mountains on the moon. And there's a similar map for Denver. So if you're in the south part or eastern part of Denver, you can find maps on this website. It's the OCCULTATIONS.org. And they've done some really interesting stuff here, such as using multiple observations and the timing of each occultation to map the appearance of asteroids that are quite a distance away. So that's some neat stuff you can do even without a Hubble telescope available. Conditions across the U.S. are pretty stagnant. Got a frontal system out in the western part of the U.S. We've been watching that for the past couple of days, and you can see the pressure falls across western Colorado and southern Utah, and behind that some very strong pressure rises. And this is an unusually strong front, and it's located something like this. And you can see these strong winds pouring through the San Joaquin Valley. See if we can see a few of those plots here. There you go. See that northwesterly flow through the San Joaquin Valley. This is a good sign that the front has pushed on through that area. And south of that, you can see very warm temperatures and none of that northwesterly wind there. And that's a pretty dry front. The only places getting any rain are up in the northern part of Colorado, so I guess it'll be kind of iffy if Colorado will see those occlusions. Possibly, I don't know, Denver might. I can see a lot of clear plots here, so it's certainly possible. I was looking through some of the polar orbiter data. This is the satellite imagery for the Canadian Arctic islands. You can see them way up here. So this is Baffin Island right here. Greenland is way off to the right side, and Victoria Island right there. And this is the Northwest Territories right there. And you can see that polar ice pack is starting to take root. And even though it looks sunny, you can see a lot of sunshine there, things are on the cold side up there. This is the Canadian analysis, showing lots of minus 23 Celsius readings. And that's a temperature of about minus 8 to minus 10. So right there, very cold conditions on that ice pack, and that is causing that to form up and solidify. And as that happens, we start getting Arctic air masses forming a lot easier through the high Arctic and into the Northwest Territories. And that will definitely contribute to polar outbreaks moving down into the U.S. So right here around Yellowknife, actually I think that's Great Bear Lake right there, Great Slave Lake. Very, looks like a lot of snow starting to settle on that area. It's like a cool gravity wave here. That's pretty neat. Showing up a little bit better on the other polar orbiter data. But it looks like some of the lakes here are starting to freeze up too. This is in the Northwest Territories, west of Yellowknife. And we'll check out those temperatures there. Yep, definitely cold, -7 to -9, so that's going to be teens in Fahrenheit degrees. And we can see another Arctic front starting to form up in this area. Kind of interesting seeing the warm sector here with southerly winds and temperatures of below freezing. Even a little bit of a lee side trough right there. So yeah, there are some things to look at as you go north. And in Manitoba, there's another frontal system right there. So there we go. Bit of a winter storm there from Churchill down to Lake Winnipegosis. I was going to mention one other station up here. The Canadian High Arctic, there's kind of a line here where the Inuits do not settle because it's so, the climate is so extreme. That line is right along here. And the most northerly settlement in North America is one called Grise Fjord, Grise Fjord. I'd recommend looking that up sometime on Panoramio. There's some really cool shots of what it looks like there. There's a couple of research stations up here. One of them is called Isaacson, located right there. And you can see conditions are very cold there already. It used to be manned up until the 1970s. This is kind of what it looked like when it was at its peak. Looks like a really neat place to work. Got a dog right there, I guess, hanging out. And what it looks like nowadays is like this. I pulled this photo off Google. So it's been abandoned since 1978, so it's been sitting in this condition for decades. So a bit of a museum there. But it's very cold there. You can see these temperatures in the summer. They get up to 42 during the day. This time of year, they normally see a high of 3. So you can see we're getting that very quick slide to wintertime temperatures. And that's what generates polar air that affects us here in the U.S. Okay, let's see. What else are we going to cover? I don't think we have a whole lot going on in the U.S. today. I'll take one more look at the surface map just to make sure we're not missing anything. Let me switch over to the standard North American plot. Yeah, look at that. Pretty quiet weather pattern. Just a little bit of that moisture feed moving north through Texas into the Midwest. So other than that, not a whole lot happening. So I'll just go ahead and take you to the forecast. And we will be seeing a change tomorrow. We're going to be seeing that front moving into Texas and probably some thunderstorms coming together there. And if that happens, we'll probably look at those in detail. So let's see here. Let me set this right there and freeze this. I don't like these sites that start off with an animation. It makes it very hard to follow. So there we go. Okay, we're starting out at current conditions on the GFS. So fronts are looking like this. So you can see we got a bit of a front in Oklahoma, cooler conditions up north. So the only places that are really cold are Minnesota, the Dakotas, and the Great Lakes. Warm front moving through New England, located right there. And the tail end right there going through Nevada. So it's pretty simple pattern right there. Let's see what happens over the next 24 hours. By the time you join the WEBCAST tomorrow night, it's going to be looking like this. Again, not much of a change. And you can't really find any low pressure areas really, just kind of very broad low maybe here in West Texas. So that'll probably keep the precip areas a little bit on the scattered side. The Gulf moisture oriented kind of like this. So best chances of rain are going to be from the DFW area eastward towards Memphis. Then let's see, by Thursday, for our weathercast, we're going to be looking at a situation like this. Looks like we do pick up a front here in Virginia, so probably a little bit of cyclogenesis going on Thursday in this area here. Okay. So front clearing Texas there. We bring in some cooler conditions into the Midwest. And then by the weekend, big old high moves into Texas and Arkansas and Missouri. So we'll see things cooling off quite a bit finally. We had 90 degrees here today, and it feels like July here, but I think we're getting to the very last days of summer here. I think tomorrow's going to be our last summer-like day, and that's going to be it. So anyway, we get a bit of a storm system along the east coast right there. That's going to affect New England on Friday. Here comes that push of cold air southward into the Midwest. And you can see we're kind of leaving behind a boundary in the Pacific Northwest right here. So that's going to be a ripe area for development over the weekend. So looks like by Monday, it's going to be looking like this. Frontal boundary still in place out west. The only cyclogenesis that we really see is in the Montana area right in here. We pick up a weak bit of wave activity there in southern Montana. Also, we're leaving a boundary across the eastern U.S. kind of like that. Not much going on along that, really. Then by midweek, next week, around Tuesday and Wednesday, looks like we finally get a push of a frontal system out into the plains. So that's going to affect Nebraska, Colorado, the Dakotas, and Iowa. And it looks like the warm wing of this system is particularly active, so probably a good chance of rain and possibly a few showers there in Iowa and Minnesota. And that kicks eastward during the week. Yeah, I think a bit of that warm weather is going to sneak back to Texas, unfortunately. But a little bit of relief on the way by late next week. So October 28th, here comes our next system. Pushing southward. Maybe another chance of rain with that. And then by October 31st, Halloween, looks like our next system is coming in. So our map is going to look like this on Halloween. So it's going with a bit of a deep system in the central U.S. So there's our next front right there. I can see it looks quite a bit different from yesterday's panel. So that shows you just how much change you can get in the GFS 300 hours out. And we're going to expect this to change again when we look at it tomorrow, I'm sure. And I think we're about done here. So anyway, I'll just say hello to chat and one question about digital atmosphere. Usually, well, this is kind of like tech support here, but let's see here. 2 copies for 2 laptops. No, we don't do that. Usually, well, always whenever people are running 2 copies for personal use, you only need 1 license for that. It's only if it's commercial use that's an issue. But I'm about to start working on digital atmosphere again tonight, believe it or not. I've had a lot of trouble getting back into my programming mindset, but I've got to do that and push that out, so I'm going to be working on that this evening. There will probably be some digital atmosphere news tomorrow, and maybe I'll show you a bit of that on tomorrow's webcast. Anyway, that's it for me, and we'll see you again tomorrow at the usual time. Thanks for watching.